And audible this time, hopefully. Let's check if that's the case. Am I live? And if so, can I hear myself? Am I live? Oh yeah, I can hear myself. So, this should be better. Right. Sorry about the tech problems there, everyone. We should be actually working this time. Huzzah! How is everyone doing? I'm sorry for the technical fumbles. Hurrah! People can hear me. That's good. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. My mic just refused to recognize that it existed. Let me just finish tweaking this. Yeah, that mic's maybe a smidge loud. It's probably fine. Does this sound okay? If my mic sounds okay, we're just gonna power through and do the stream like this. I love when tech issues happen on nights when I've got work to do. Yeah, we got Alan Wake 2. That game exists now, and I'm gonna be honest, I remember basically zero of what happened in the first Alan Wake, despite it being maybe my favorite game that released in the year it released. I remember he's a writer. Book is out to get him. Pretty sure he's from Maine, because he's Stephen King character. He's a Stephen King character. So we're gonna watch a recap by GameSpot to basically catch me back up and make me go, oh yeah, that's what went on. That's what was going on. Which is gonna be like 10 minutes of me remembering what the plot of Alan Wake 1 is. So here we go.
A sequel to Alan Wake once seemed impossible, with the original Alan Wake launching in 2010 and becoming the sort of cult classic that is fondly remembered by fans but typically not expanded upon in an industry obsessed with mega hits. However, after 13 years, one quasi-sequel and one DLC tie-in, Remedy is finally returning to its well of inky darkness and releasing the sequel, Alan Wake 2, which shifts into full-on survival horror, introduces a second playable character, and continues to build on the Remedy Connected Universe's elaborate lore. Whether you simply want a refresher of what's happened already,
that is what
you
I
need
want.
A complete introduction to
I
the
do
world
want
of
a
Alan
refresher
Wake,
on what
you just want to see how
that
your
first game
favorite
was.
fan theories are doing before you dive into the sequel. Here's everything that's happened in the Alan Wake story so far.
Hey Zipper Mage, how you doing?
The story of Alan Wake kicks off in the Pacific Northwest in 2010 in the ominously named Bright Falls, Washington, a logging and mining-oriented town that harbors a dark secret.
I thought it was earlier than
and his
this.
wife Alice, however, it's meant to be a safe haven for the ever-disgruntled and writer's-blocked Alan to rest his head and take some time away from the hustle and bustle of New York City and his life as a best-selling crime author. Alan and Alice arrive at their secluded bird-leg cabin, which sits by its lonesome atop Cauldron Lake. Though the views are incredible, things take a turn for the worst on the first night of their stay. The hot-headed Alan storms out of the cabin in a huff when he discovers Alice brought a typewriter with the hope that Alan might find more success writing given his change of scenery. Rather rudely, he leaves his nyctophobic, that means afraid of the dark, wife alone in the creepy cabin during a power outage.
Alan, that is pretty rude of you, but also, like, hey, person narrating this GameSpot video, it's also pretty rude of her to have gone, yeah, let's go on a little holiday away from writing where you don't have to think about writing for a bit because I know it's really stressing you out that you have writer's block. So let's go away from the writing and just not think about it for a bit so that you can come back refreshed, and then bring a typewriter and go, yeah, well, I thought, like, the change of scenery would make you want to write, so I brought the writing here with you to the place you were trying to get away from the writing. So, like, I'm not saying that excuses leaving your afraid of the dark wife alone in the dark, but, like, if you're gonna call Alan rude, you gotta call her rude too, I think.
And immediately lives to regret it, as Alice is attacked by a dark presence just seconds later. Alan rushes in, but manages only to witness her be pulled into the infinite darkness of Cauldron Lake. Suddenly feeling heroic, he jumps in after her. The next thing he knows, Alan awakens from behind the wheel of a crashed car, alone in the woods of Bright Falls, other than a strange apparition clad in a diving suit that acts as Alan's part-time guiding light. Don't worry, we'll get back to this. Alan soon discovers he's missing a week of time. To make matters worse, he starts to find pages of a manuscript he supposedly wrote, and the events described on the pages begin coming to life. That would be fine if the author were writing about a good night's sleep or eating cake, but Alan's not so lucky. His story is a horror story, and soon axe-wielding maniacs, possessed construction trucks, and Hitchcockian birds all have it out for him.
Yeah, so my understanding is that Alan Wake 2 is... Alan Wake 1 is he's written himself into the horror story. Alan Wake 2, he's trying to write himself out of the horror story, but he's writing a horror story into reality to write him back out of the trapped place, or something like that. Frame into Focus, thank you so much. That's lovely of you to say. I appreciate that very much. Frame on into Focus on YouTube says, I'm a big fan of your work and I admire what you do. Oh, great. Let's continue getting recapped. His wife goes missing and he gets attacked by books is about as far as I got. I remember nothing of American Nightmare, I think the DLC was called.
Eventually, he catches his breath and gets the attention of Sheriff Sarah Breaker, who delivers the bad news that Bird Lake Cabin hasn't existed for decades, and it was destroyed by a volcanic eruption, leaving Alan's head hurting more than when...
The cabin on the lake? That hasn't existed for 50 years!
He crashed his car. Soon after, his loud-mouthed but endlessly faithful literary agent Barry Wheeler shows up in town to defend his client as Alan gains the attention of local authorities, what with the whole crashing cars and misplacing wives routine. Alan spends the next several days in Bright Falls, being pulled ceaselessly farther down a rabbit hole of Stephen King-like oddities. Though Breaker is cautiously helpful toward Alan, others are much less intentioned. The FBI shows up, led by an alcohol-abusing special agent named Nightingale, who seems to assume Alan's guilt before he even crosses the town's border. After relentlessly evading both him and the shadowy monsters, shaped like townsfolk called the Taken, Alan meets up with a local who claims to have kidnapped his wife and is holding her for ransom. As it turns out, the self-proclaimed kidnapper is just a crony for Dr. Emil Hartman, a local therapist who specializes, or more accurately preys on, artists such as painters, musicians.
Oh, this makes so much sense, and this is very familiar now I hear it, but if you'd asked me like 1,000 times in a row, I could not have told you that this was what was going on. Cool. Therapist who's here for like, hey, if you don't want your solution of getting through writer's block like Stephen King to be just do a mountain of cocaine, maybe come see the art therapist. But oh no, the art therapist is gonna take advantage of that. Okay, yeah, okay.
Video game developers, and writers. Either by temptation or corruption, Hartman seeks to utilize the Dark Presence for his own good, but just as he acted as the marionette to that kidnapper, it seems the Dark Presence was pulling his strings too. Hartman is attacked in a supernatural assault on the mental health facility, and Alan barely makes it out alive. Before he left the facility, Alan was able to get to know Tor and Odin Anderson, the two old-timers from town who know a lot more than they were willing to let on.
Is that man's name Odin and he's wearing an eye patch over one eye? That's... Again, I feel like something that on the nose I should have remembered.
In front of the doctor. The Anderson brothers direct Alan to their farm where they promise the writer some much-needed answers. There, with Barry, Alan begins to understand the nature of the town's monster, the Dark Presence lurking in Bright Falls.
Before we get into that, Dog Ear Flopper on YouTube says, oh no, villainous mental health professional. Yeah. Well, look, this is basically a Stephen King story, and like, either the writer is evil, the writer's fans are evil, or therapists are evil, because it's based on Stephen King's work, and Stephen King only really had a few things he was afraid of. It's like, oh no, maybe I'm evil as a writer, maybe my fans are evil and will do something, and trying to make me go to therapy, that's evil. They're literally... Okay, those two old men are apparently in a metal band called the Old Gods of Asgard. I was meaning to try and find time to replay this before Alan Wake 2 happened, and then this week happened at me. I can't say many specifics other than that I got a phone call that suddenly led to several days of me scrambling to be like, yeah, I can make a plan happen on short notice. Yeah. It's been one of those weeks.
is empowered by art, and it manipulates artists to grow itself stronger through the worlds they imbue with purpose, like a song by the Andersons under their moniker The Old Gods of Asgard,
that would be it.
or a story like that written by Alan during his missing week, during which time the Dark Presence served as something like his evil editor. By
Oh, okay, so this is like the evil muse. Like, I'm having writer's block, I would do anything to get rid of my writer's block, and then, like, the evil god of creativity's like, hey, I can help you get over that writer's block. Write my dark evil story into existence with use your talents and my evil, and we'll get over your writer's block.
doing this, the Dark Presence is able to grow its influence beyond its domain, known as the Dark Place, a subjective supernatural realm that can appear different to different people, but is never the type of place one would want to land in. Alan seeks out the Lady of the Light, a spot-on callback to Twin Peaks' Log Lady, who understands better than anyone in town what exactly is going on. If it's not yet weird enough for you,
Sorry, when I played... I know I keep pausing here. When I played the first Alan Wake, I hadn't yet seen Twin Peaks. And now I'm suddenly clicking the Lady of Light's significance now that I know who the Log Lady is, yes. Doggy Flopper says, as a non-evil therapist, it's always sobering how much damage a trusted therapist can do. Yes, a good therapist can be a wonderful thing. A bad therapist can really, really, really fuck you up. Scrangle says, would you recommend Twin Peaks? I think Twin Peaks is fascinating, but you have to go into it ready for what it is, which is a very, very slow burn about, that is as much about, like, setting the tone of its weird, surreal suburbia as it is about the actual plot happening. It is very clearly meant to be a, what if we initially kind of straight-faced did a, like, local, like, the story of the local goings-on in a town, and very slowly started to unsettlingly peel those layers back, and, like, it takes a while before it gets to the stuff that people think of as Twin Peaks. I think it is a very interesting show that you have to go in ready for a slow burn, and go in ready to go, this is not what pop culture made me think Twin Peaks was gonna be. F the Bard, yeah, there's an Alan Wake 2, it's out today. We're gonna play it in, like, 10 minutes when I finish watching this video.
Here's where things really start to unravel.
Oh, no, free advert on the Twitch stream.
The Lady of the Light,
Anyway.
Cynthia Weaver, explains to Alan that she's seen what is happening before, back in the 1970s when it was a poet named Thomas Zane who was manipulated by the Dark Presence. In that case, the darkness kidnapped and eventually took on the appearance of his lover, Barbara Jagger. Zane stumbled his way to a conclusion that perhaps could have rescued Jagger and instead lost her for good. Now it's Alan's turn to try and save his love from the same cruel fate. The ghostly diver Alan has been seeing turns out to be Zane, who has been trying to guide Alan to a happier ending than he got himself. To that end, Weaver explains to Alan that Zane left behind a shoebox specifically for Alan to find years later. In it rests the Clicker, a portion of a broken light switch Alan used to play with as a child. To Alan and players alike, the reveal becomes a headache-inducing time loop. How did Zane write into reality this Clicker that comes from Alan's time as a kid? Or did he not do it at all? Did Alan write Zane into existence? It's the story's best chicken and egg scenario in a basket full of fan theories and lingering mysteries. And not to get too far ahead, but fans are still trying to make sense of it today. However the Clicker got there, Alan comes to understand his purpose. He must correct Zane's wrongs, which led to his partner's demise, in order to save Alice. Alan takes the Clicker, and after a long march through hell, finally comes face to face with the Dark Presence, once more wearing Jagger's likeness.
A thing of note, you very rarely see, like, the Dark Harbinger of Hell portrayed as just, like, a frail old lady. And there's something powerful about that.
Alan understands that a horror story requires sacrifice and balance. The writer can't create the happy ending they may want. It doesn't make narrative sense, and that allows the strangely art-obsessed Dark Presence to prey on those who get greedy, as Alan feels Zane did back in the 70s. To improve on Zane's unintentionally tragic conclusion, Alan writes a new ending to the story. He thrusts the clicker into the black heart of Barbara Jagger and turns it on, sending a burst of magical light scorching through the monster. She is defeated, but not entirely. Instead, it's enough to create an opening for Alice to escape the Dark Presence. She emerges from the depths of Cauldron Lake and swims to shore shaken, but otherwise seemingly okay despite having spent over a week in the dark place. Alan makes his much-needed sacrifice, submitting himself to the dark place in place of Alice. In doing so, Zane informs Alan that a doppelganger, whose name can't be heard over a scratching sound that is formed when Zane says it, thus earning him the name Mr. Scratch, will take Alan's place while Alan is away from the physical world from which he came. Alan then sits and prepares to write his exit in a story titled Return. The original game ends this way, though through 2 DLC chapters we see Alan growing stronger and becoming more familiar with the Dark Place.
Yeah, so this is sort of, this is vaguely familiar to me. I remember zero about the DLCs, but like, this is one of those things where I'm like, I wasn't sure I wanted an Alan Wake 2, because I feel like if the whole point is you make the sacrifice to get your wife back from the dark place, my caution is that it might feel cheap for him to make it back, that it undoes the sacrifice. But again, I guess the thing there would be, now the horror is the sacrifice was someone lived your life for however many years, and that is definitely still a sacrifice, and one that will have horror consequences, I suppose.
He can manipulate the world using words more intricately than before, bringing objects into existence that may aid him as he tries to escape the dark place.
Oh, this was where you shone the torch at the words,
though players would get to explore it more in 2012 with the game's pseudo-sequel, Alan Wake's American Nightmare.
Yeah.
In American Nightmare, the theme of time loops returns, this time to tell a story of Alan further exploring the dark place, now presented as the fictional southwestern-looking town of Night Springs, which shares a name with the in-universe Twilight Zone-like TV series. All the while, Alan's doppelganger, Mr. Scratch, seems to wreak havoc in the real world. Alan's disappearance from his normal life and the surrounding events of Bright Falls have given birth to urban legends of a writer, Alan, who snapped and started killing people during a vacation with his wife. These rumors manifest as Mr. Scratch, who is basically Alan's evil twin that becomes a real-life serial killer. Through a series of looping events orchestrated.
Can I just say, if I reached a point where, like, I'd been trapped in another reality and, like, someone wearing my skin went on to be a serial killer in the real world, I might give up on trying to write my way back into reality, because I feel like the only reward I'm going to get for writing myself back into reality is, cool, I'm back in the real world now. Oops, I'm going straight to jail for all those murders that the clone did.
By Mr. Scratch to keep Alan imprisoned forever in the dark place, Alan is aided by a trio of women, none of whom are Alice, or even anyone familiar to the players, taking up residence at a motel, a theater, and an observatory. Each woman holds a different part of the solution to defeating Mr. Scratch, but the problem is they each keep dying, or Alan otherwise fails in his attempts to gather all he needs. His task is to create the perfect loop and save all of them so that they can survive long enough to help him too. After several spins through the time loop, Alan is able to keep all 3 women alive and collect everything he needs to defeat Mr. Scratch. The twins have their showdown at the movie theater, where it's revealed that Alan's secret weapon was a movie Alice made that writes Mr. Scratch out of existence. It works, and Alan and Alice share a loving embrace at the end of the game. However, a narrator's voice calls into question whether the events of American Nightmare really happened, or if they were just Alan's tortured daydreams while he remained stuck in the dark place. And in case you're wondering, Remedy does consider this game canon to the overarching story.
Okay, maybe it's worth trying to write your way back to reality if you unwrote the serial killer enough that they never... You're gonna get back and no one will ever think you were a serial killer, then maybe it's okay.
That was all the Alan Wake story we were served for nearly a decade. Then, in 2020, Remedy's latest game at that time, Control, confirmed the
now we get to
speculation
Control.
that Control and Alan Wake shared a universe in a DLC chapter called AWE. even elaborating with quite a lot of new material. Collectively, players now know these games and others yet to come as the Remedy Connected Universe. The name AWE officially refers to the idea of an altered world event, a term for the wild stuff that happens around the country that is then investigated by the Federal Bureau of Control, which is like if Scully and Mulder's X-Files division
what if it
had
stands for
proper funding.
Alan Wake?
However, fans have reasonably joked that AWE also means Alan Wake expansion, since that's effectively what this DLC was. In AWE, we learn a lot about the current state of things in the modern Remedy Connected Universe.
Scrangle, I did play Control. I, again, never got around to the DLC. I'm really bad at remembering to come back to games for DLC, so hadn't played the Alan Wake stuff in the DLC, is the thing.
As it pertains to Alan Wake. For one, we learn that the events of Bright Falls, including Alan's saga, Zane's saga, and at least one more unspecified event that predates either of those, have been classified as altered world events. Some in-game hints also seem to suggest that Alan may have birthed the FBC itself through his abilities to alter reality through writing, though a summer 2023 chat with Remedy's Sam Lake clarified for us that this is not the case. We also learn that Alan is still missing in the present day, and that Alice is haunted by nightmarish images of her long-lost love. It's assumed by many that the wicked person she is seeing is actually Mr. Scratch, and that he was not truly defeated in the events of American Nightmare. We also learn that the FBC investigated Dr. Hartman's activities surrounding Cauldron Lake's special properties. Hartman eventually dove into the lake himself, but was consumed by the darkness, much like Barbara Jagger and others were, which led him to being imprisoned within the oldest house, the shape-shifting physical, but also metaphysical, headquarters for the FBC. As the entity, Hartman broke free, which led the FBC to retreat and seal up the wing of the oldest house that stored much of the Bright Falls investigation materials. During the events of Control, when the supernatural Hiss took over the building, the two monstrous entities, the Dark Presence and the Hiss, merged with Hartman to create a third worse thing. Jesse Faden, the playable character in Control, eventually defeats Hartman, if we can still call him that, and once and for all cleanses the investigations wing of its monster problem. In Marvel-esque fashion, we then get a teaser for what's to come. Computers within the oldest house begin reporting on a new AWE occurring in Bright Falls, only it's oddly set in the future, a meta-nod to the fact that Alan Wake was still a few years off. And that is the entire Alan Wake story so far.
Okay, that's a good catch-up. I feel like I remember enough of what's happening that we can jump into Alan Wake 2 now, so this is good. We can do this. Right. Let me have a look at the options quickly before we start. Aim assist, yes please. Leave that for now. We can aim in subtitles, subtitle background, put subtitles on large. Nudity sensor. Well. Yeah, it probably won't come up, and if it does, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now I'm going to put this on story, because it is a shooter game, and I feel no shame about the fact I fucking suck at shooters. I'm not here to have a bad time. I'm here to take in a story. Tynanwolf says, as a writer, the idea of Alan Wake powers terrify me. I make too many typos to be allowed to alter reality with my words. With that being said, just in case I do have those powers, werewolves are real and they're in love with me. Exactly.
With hopes and expectations, looking for an answer.
Turn that up.
Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story.
Ooh.
In a horror story, there are only victims and monsters. And the trick is not to end up as either. But trapped by the genre, we are all ripped to pieces along the way.
Sir, I think you're generalizing stories a lot. You're a horror writer.
This is not the story I hoped it would be.
You're assuming every...
This is not the ending I wanted.
You're acting like every book is a horror book.
This story will eat us alive. This story is a monster.
You could just try writing a book that isn't a horror book.
And monsters wear many faces.
Turn that down slightly. Is he canonically not a very good writer? I thought the point was that he was canonically a good writer who just had writer's block, which, as someone who has dealt with writer's block, being able to write well and being able to get over that hurdle to start writing are two very different things. Yeah, he's a bestseller, which to me says he was at least alright. Oh. Is this what the nudity filter was about? I'm glad I didn't turn on the nudity filter. We'd have missed out on Old Man Bottom. I mean, Echo, he's clearly intended to be Stephen King, and that probably means sometimes well-written, sometimes a little pandery, sometimes farming it out just to get another book out, but, like, clearly has a talent for writing, even if has written themselves into a corner where, like, they just have to keep producing content constantly and, like, aren't allowed to stop for a minute. Like, that's... I assume he's in that sort of realm just because he's such a direct one-to-one. And, like, you can do a good job of writing schlock. F the Bard says, I don't know, the stuff you can read in-game that he wrote is not good. Yeah, but that's because he's a video game character who's meant to be a writer. Here's a fun thing. Anytime a piece of media has a character who's meant to be a writer, and, like, this is just, like, a thing. General audiences don't really enjoy when a writer is actually good at writing. There is, like, this weird phenomenon where, like, the most beloved characters who are writers in things, their writing is objectively kind of bad. And I don't take that necessarily to mean in canon their writing is meant to be bad. The kind of writing you have to do to sum up... here's the thing. I think a lot of it is when you have to condense a person's writing into, like, a couple of snippets that exemplify what their entire writing style was like, and trying to make them characterful and, like, feel like they're a distinctive writer, you don't have a lot of room to work with, and it can lead to having to take some awkward shortcuts to not necessarily write something good, but to convey a lot of contextual data about what that writer's writing was like. It's a weird one. Yeah, I did not imagine this was going to be how this game started. Can I get a better shot on the butt? I'm trying to get the butt into frame good. There we go. That'll do for now. The temptation to do the 360 spin, just to see the front of this man. Oh. Tynanworth, I don't imagine my channel will get banned for this man's butt. Twitch allows a degree of nudity in video games when it's non-sexual nudity, and I feel like this is non-sexual nudity. I feel like this is I woke up in a river and I'm trying to get home nudity. I believe YouTube is fairly similar when it comes to video game footage. Just got to acknowledge there's occasionally a man butt. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I'm gonna say this now. I feel like there probably should be a photosensitivity warning for this stream, and I might just update my video descriptions and note that quickly, because I feel like this full screen black and white flashing is probably not great for people who are photosensitive. I did not see anything in the settings about reducing flashing, so I'm just gonna update the Twitch title to reflect that at the very least. There we go. Look, I want to see this man's face. Nope, I'm not allowed to see his face. Is this because he's secretly Alan Wake and I'm not allowed to know? I'm allowed to see his butt, but I'm not allowed to see his face, which tells me his face is a spoiler and he's Alan Wake. You know what? This is me doing the kind of science that led to things I learned from Mario's butt. Just because I can see this man's butt, but the game won't let me see his face, but it will let me see his butt, tells me he's Alan Wake but old. I learnt that because of the butt being visible. Or they don't want to give him a donk? Well, I mean, there's a nudity checkbox, so I guess... Look, there's ways around it. You could have done it, but I think it's Alan Wake. I think it's spooky old Alan Wake. Because, like, they wouldn't have had to turn his face necessarily. Oh. 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 The Cult of the Tree. I thought they said the Cult of the Word before. Yeah, Tammy, what the fuck? You should probably run, Tammy. That man woke up in the water and got... See, they're not afraid to show his genitals. You can clearly see them in the street like that. The time when it would have been easiest to hide them, just have the shadow obscure them because it's under a spotlight. Frame into focus, I don't know. Sometimes cults call themselves cults. Sometimes you know you're a cult, and that's okay. I think any cult that engages in, like, sacrificially cutting a person's heart out, I think at that point they know they're a cult. They just gotta own it at that point. Scrangle 3D says, I swear that symbol around their necks is one of the doors in Control's motel. Probably is, they exist in the same universe.
Hey kiddo, how are you?
I'm good, Mom. How are you?
This trip might take a little longer than I thought. I'm sorry I've been gone so much lately, Logan.
Is this our...
Mom, it's not your fault. People get all murdery. What happened?
Is this Mum our other playable character?
Well, Dad and I are just watching the latest episode of Night Springs here. Mom, it's so good.
No spoilers! I'll let you get back to the show. You were supposed to wait and watch with me. I love you both.
This is what happens when you go on work trips, Mom. Love you too. And say hi to Casey.
As someone who has to go on work trips, it's not fair to watch your, like, we watch these together shows while someone's on a work trip. Wait till they get home.
Logan thinks you should try cheering up.
Snarky kid. Wonder where she gets that from.
Frame into focus says, I actually disagree with that. I've been interviewing cult survivors the past 6 months. No lie. Most don't call themselves inside a cult. I agree with you. I don't disagree with that. I think most don't call themselves a cult. I think there is a line. I feel like there is a line, and that line is we're tying a man down and cutting out his heart in a ritual sacrifice. I feel like that is the line where probably if you stay in at that point you go, yeah, we're a cult. So be it. I'm not saying it's common. I'm saying I'm willing to believe that once you reach the sacrificial heart removal stage, you might have a moment of self-reflection and go, I'm going to keep doing this, but this is a cult. But that does sound like fascinating work, by the way. Absolutely fascinating that that is a thing you've been doing.
It can't be a coincidence that another body turns up just as we arrive in town. Feels like the killer's leaving us a message.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. It's right up your alley. You should take lead.
Okay.
He is the backup.
Alan Wake is a serial killer
Okay.
because he's writing a serial killer into reality to write himself back into reality. Despite undoing what Mr. Scratch did, he's sort of recreating those events, is my guess. That's me putting my guess out here now. He's recreating the very murderer he uncreated.
Cauldron Lake.
Time to get to work.
Ugh.
A deputy was supposed to be here to show us to the crime scene. There's the car, so where's the deputy?
Eaten by a bear? I'll check out that map.
You're the one who wanted to switch.
I think I hear someone.
I'm not walking all the way back
Could
down.
be our deputy.
Hey, over here.
You're saying over here. I was further ahead than you.
Hey there. Agent Casey, right? Sheriff Breaker said you'd be coming by to take over the case.
You're half right.
I approve of the large subtitles. I don't approve of the fact that your only option is the semi-transparent one, because it means that if the screen flashes like full, like too much of a white screen, it's going to do very little to make the text legible. I think you should always have an option to have a full opaque backdrop. But they're fairly big subtitles. We'll take it.
Saga Anderson, I'll be leading this case. Seems you already know my partner, Alex Casey.
Shoot. Sorry about that, ma'am. I'm Deputy Mulligan. I just figured that, you know, that,
Good night, Artist Synth.
federal agent's right here, Thornton. My partner, Thornton, down at crime.
I've heard one thing about this game,
It's not what you call the sharpest.
and I'm
weapon,
curious
okay?
to see it in action. The one thing I've heard is that our FBI lady has a mind palace, and apparently it's a little silly. We'll see. We'll see.
What can you tell us about the crime scene?
I was getting to that, Thornton. Well, we reckon there are some organs that are currently outside the victim's person when they should be, well, you know, inside.
I do know, yeah. That is typically where organs are supposed to be.
Were there any witnesses?
Yeah, a couple out-of-towners. I wonder what they were doing sneaking around the woods at night. Not that we have anything against city folk, right, Thornton? But don't worry. Sheriff Breaker took them back to town a while ago.
I want to see the body. How do we get there?
Oh, sure, that's real simple. Just through the hole in the fence, down the hill towards the lake, around the old convenience store. You can't miss it. Everything's been closed since the area was fenced off. The
I
store,
mean,
the campground.
I can't imagine I would miss a body on a sacrifice table.
They got it, Thornton.
Okay, let's go. Let's go find a body. Let's go find a
Before we get
body.
to the crime scene, there's time to review the facts of the case so far.
Oh my god, they actually call it a mind palace. I thought that was I thought that was an exaggeration. You can access the case board inside the mind palace. I love a good FBI agent who can
Mind
like
Place. My version of the Mind Palace technique.
yeah.
To sift
Oh
through
sorry,
the
mind
clues in each
place.
case, building the Mind Place again for each case. Using each field office as a
It's not a mind
map.
palace, sorry, it's a low budget one, it's a mind place.
The facts are on the board.
Yeah, so the one thing I've heard about this, and we'll see whether I agree, but what I have heard is that that this mind palace gets BBC Sherlock levels of, there's no fucking way you worked that out. And we shall see. She did call it the Mind Palace technique. I see, yeah.
Everything we know about the previous murders. Worth taking another look.
Okay, the case board is a mental technique that allows Saga to analyze clues and progress the investigation. I mean, she could just have files in her bag. This doesn't need to be a mental technique. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, Cauldron Lake murders. Oh. Okay, yeah, so let's have a look. Series of murders have happened around the town. Finding the connections will help search for the killer. Slight difference in murders, bloating only commonality in bodies but not cause of death. Chest trauma, exposure to water post-mortem. Bruising on wrists and legs, deep gash in the chest. All bodies experience bloating, so they're all under the water a while. The victims back in 2010 were Ted. Were these people from the first game? Does anyone remember? Dentist with stab wounds, Wendy, bloated store owner, missing heart. Killer profile, post-mortem tattooing of the body. The murder targets have no discernible common traits. Chest trauma resembles animal butchery techniques. Okay. What else is in the mind place? Why do you have like a fancy... Okay, sure. Let's not... There's so much non-case information in this mind place that is supposedly like entirely a mnemonic device you've created for yourself. Cauldron Lake, undiscovered map. Oh. I mean, I thought the map was discovered. No. This is not a discovered map. I haven't discovered this map yet.
I see you're already hard at work, Anderson. Close to cracking it?
We're just getting started.
Oh,
Let's head down the hill to the crime
Sorry,
scene.
visiting the mind place doesn't pause events. So be careful of ongoing threats. So we're just saying it's canon that she's just standing around for like 2 minutes going, yes, let me check the board. At least if you had paper notes, your first of all, they'd be more accurate, and second of all, your co-worker would be like, yes, I see you're double-checking the notes. You're not just closing your eyes and spending like 3 minutes in the mind place.
Why now?
Look, Anderson, you're a better detective than I am. You've cracked cases that had the rest of us baffled. I don't want to slow you down.
Are you thinking of retiring? You know what happens to cops who say this is their last case.
Mm-hmm. Real funny, Anderson.
Stairs are out. You okay to jump down?
I'm not that old.
She's got ADHD and just zones out sometimes. That's why the mind place is so messy. If she had... No, because... I've never met a person with ADHD who has been capable of making a mind palace. And like, look, maybe if you've got like what's the term? Hyperphagia, excessive visual imagination. But I'm like, I feel like most people with ADHD aren't like creating and remembering all of those details in a neatly organized brain space. Because if that is possible with ADHD, I need someone to teach me because that would be very fucking helpful. Additionally, yeah, I don't know if that degree of neurodivergence gets you in the investigating murders section of the FBI. That is a good point.
Not a bad place to get murdered.
If getting back to nature is your thing.
You're gonna get murdered, might as well be near some trees.
Damn. Should have brought an umbrella.
I like the rain. The only thing around here that feels like home.
You think the local law had the sense to put up a tarp?
If they did, next coffee's on me.
Deputy Thornton, I take it.
That's me, at your service, ready to get this case solved. Now the body's behind the store. Come on, I'll show you.
This cop has, like, real vibes of this is the most interesting thing that's ever happened in this town, so I'm very excited to cop
So cool.
for this one.
Hunting down psychos.
I get to be involved in a real-life murder.
Shootouts with the mob.
You forgot the UFO cover-ups.
What? Those are real? You guys hiring?
Yeah.
Let's just see this body, shall we?
I feel like you could at least have erected like a makeshift tarp to like keep the body from. Chew.
Now this is the scene of the crime. We found him on the table. Now he didn't touch nothing, you know, procedures and stuff.
Thanks, Deputy.
No tarp. You owe me a coffee.
Okay, let's start by examining our guest of honor. Does this fit the MO of the previous murders?
Well, he was murdered here and he's bloated. That's two things I know
Except
about the previous murders.
Body is positioned on the table. Ritualistic.
Oh, frame into focus? I've heard of them. Don't worry. I enjoy me a good podcast about cults and weird groups. There's one I love, Oh No, Ross and Carrie, very good podcast. But yes, I'm aware of Transcendental Meditation, TM. I did not turn on the nakedness filter, so here you go. Here's a dead man's genitals. There you go. You unlocked your first key image. You can put it in the Mind Palace place. Key image could be so I can. Oh, I can pull up the clues.
Another body turns up just as we arrive in town.
Oh, I have to put all my things in the Mind place. Okay. It will prompt a new question. Okay, so is this just like a different wall? No? Okay, so my previous caseboard went away and this is a new one. Surely we keep all of it up. Surely we keep all of the information, because then we can, like, red string to the red string. Like, if I've ever learned anything from detective stories, it's you keep every single clue on that wall. Frame into focus, bye. Right, okay.
Inside stab wound. Chest cut open. Heart removed. The killer left the heart right next to the body. Bruising on the wrist from the cargo straps holding him down.
Okay. We gotta put the clues here. I want to, like, I want to be in actual control of placing the clues. Okay, so I gotta place it on this. Yeah, this is weirdly clunky.
Heart removed from chest, strapped by the wrists. Definitely matches the previous murders. But this time the heart and the straps were left behind. More clues to work with. This makes 4 murders that we know about.
As clues are have resolved the open question, they've unlocked a deduction. Okay. Okay, yeah, so more thread.
Who is our victim? Who killed him? Need to find more clues.
Alright, I can turn this up. I can try to turn this up a bit, the dialogue. Okay.
Multiple people were here. Multiple killers? Someone was drinking beer. They spent time here, waiting. Someone left in a hurry. Knocked the tripod over. Was it for a camera?
It feels so forced that we have to go into the brain wall to do this. Oh, these clues are for okay, you're just gonna put like a for later sticker? That's such a weird choice. That is such a strange choice. It's just like, nah, leave it. Okay, the killers.
Was he killed here? Or brought here after?
How does she so instinctually know? Yeah, that clue's not for now. No, that's a later clue.
Any idea who the victim is?
Oh, I sure do. His name is Nightingale. He was FBI. He came to town about 13 years ago. I haven't heard a word about him since. Well, until now.
Nightingale? Robert Nightingale?
Oh, yes. You probably knew him. Brothers in arms. Oh, and sisters.
Dum dum. Now I gotta put him on the board. I feel like that case board needs to either be more. It either needs to be more involved of a process, or it needs to be just automated. Feels very weird where they've left it in the middle. It feels like a chore I'm having to do rather than actively engaging at the moment.
So you knew our victim?
Well, I
Not a big
recognize
problem,
him in
just
his current state.
yeah.
But yeah, I ran into him a few times at Quantico. Never worked any cases together. After his partner got killed in the field, he went off the deep end. Got the boot pretty quick after that.
What happened after he got
So what
fired?
happened to Nightingale after the Bureau let him go?
I only know the rumors. Depression led to booze, booze led to paranoia. He got some wild ideas in his head, chased ghosts until he fell off the map. Guess he ended up here,
I bet there's more to that story.
but no happy ending.
Nightingale went missing 13 years ago. 2010.
The same as all the other victims.
Certainly fits the pattern. Makes me wonder what was going on that year.
Probably something this town wants to forget.
Ooh. Right, more clues. Went off the deep end.
Robert Nightingale, ex-FBI, came to Bright Falls 13 years ago.
Nope, these are still for later clues. I'm not allowed to consider those evidences yet. Right.
Large amount of blood on the table.
Oh,
The victim died here. I think that's everything. For
Yep, the man strapped to a table with his heart cut out, who bled on the table, probably died on the table.
boot prints indicating multiple killers. Quite the party. I had to review the clues.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting she's just like staring into the distance. I did that in the middle of a conversation and therefore missed the conversation because he just kept talking, I guess. Yeah, Bellabean, I don't like that it doesn't pause the game. I just assumed it would, and I just missed a conversation with Sam Lake, I think. What am I doing now? I gotta move my webcam mildly to see this. Well, more about the kill. Let me pop myself up there for now, I guess. Okay, I guess I go back to the Mind Palace. Okay, now I'm allowed to... now I'm allowed these clues. Also, why are you doing it in a line? The benefit of the red string wall is that you can interconnect things. Why have you got like 3 lines going in the same direction? You got to spread things out, make the threads more clear. Like,
They
lay it
planned
out
for the
so.
murder to happen here, passing the time with equipment ready. They were waiting for him. But why Nightingale? He's been missing for 13 years. Why here? Why now? Profiling. Get into the subject's head. See what they saw. Feel what they felt.
Okay, now we're
Use
BBC.
whatever I know about them to guide my intuition to a revelation.
Okay.
Piece it together.
Yes, the second you start talking about like intuition to come to a revelation, this is where we're getting a bit. We're gonna get BBC Sherlock. Let's do it. What grand logical leap is she gonna make that's gonna turn out to be correct? She shouldn't be using her intuition to. She should be using the clues, the evidence. Intuition means I got a gut feeling about this one. Okay.
Nightingale was chosen as the victim. Why?
Okay.
Switch. It goes click. Lights are off. But somebody's home. Somebody's home.
This wasn't some random act of violence. This was a ritual. And Nightingale a component. They didn't see him as a person. More like a container for something.
Okay. Okay. I can buy that you worked out it was a ritual murder. That's pretty obvious. How the fuck did how do you know that he had a conversation about the clicker 13 years ago, despite not having known who he was before? This is psychic powers, and that's fine, but let's not pretend that's intuition. This is psychic powers.
Agent Nightingale has been MIA for 13 years.
Yeah, like, and that's the other one. How did she know he was like, oh, they took his heart out to make space to put something in. He's a container.
How did he end up here?
We'll see, we'll see. I'm being a little overly harsh.
Lake that's not a lake.
But
It's dark. He was there too. You are not allowed in the lake until he says
like,
otherwise.
these conversations are unbelievable.
Nightingale came from the lake before his murder.
Yeah, he's bloated. You could work that out. I don't like that you're having him, like, speak in full sentences and talk about things you don't know about. Like, that's not intuition. That is psychic powers.
This mug always cheers me up. The lake is connected to Nightingale somehow.
Yes.
Casey.
His
let's
body
take a
is
look down the lake.
bloated. He was probably in the lake.
This way, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I'll just wait here.
Yeah, like, I don't think you needed to Mind Palace to go, hey, him and the previous 3 victims were all found very bloated. We should probably check the large body of water.
I think Nightingale came up from that direction. From the lake. Probably looking for shelter. Safety.
They
were waiting for him.
When you're ready, I'd love to hear what you put together so far.
Sure. It's not that complicated. Nightingale was out in the woods alone at night, possibly nude. The killers knew he was here, ambushed him, dragged him to the campgrounds, strapped him to the table, cut his heart out. But then they were interrupted by those witnesses, the Bookers. The job is unfinished.
That seems pretty complicated to me. What was this guy doing skinny dipping at this time of year?
You just know he was
Figured that one
alone.
out yet. There's a piece of paper on the ground.
I didn't know trees got that big. Gives me the creeps.
Tracks. Barefoot. Nightingales? They come out from under the boulder.
Makes no sense.
Are we not? Okay, we are taking the page. It's a page from Alan's story.
Not a printout. Written with a typewriter. Old school. Lines scratched out and edits added with a pen.
Mm-hmm. Like a manuscript. Page of a story. Killer left a message.
I will say, I do really... I understand the value of a printed manuscript.
The text is about us.
Or a paper manuscript.
The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale. And then there was the page they found. The first step down into terrifying depths.
Okay, now we're getting Alan Wake.
These words felt like a message.
Okay, here's the thing. I like this because this is not pretending it's anything other than weird supernatural bullshit. Don't pretend the Mind Palace is like a scientific thing. If you tell me the Mind Palace is a literal magic power she has because like she got dropped on her head as a baby and developed like psychic powers because she got dropped on a geode or something, I'm like, yeah, cool. Give me, like, don't pretend it's science. Tell me it's bullshit. Now we're getting into the weird. We're getting into the Alan magic.
Someone knew they were here. Someone playing a game with them. An invitation. How could they not accept?
Even if they knew it would end up hurting them.
Do I have any of my paper manuscripts on hand?
Someone's been watching us.
I do. Here is the paper manuscript for Stories of Autistic Joy.
Nightingale came this way.
Or
Either
the
he
first
dropped
few
this
pages.
Or the killers left it for us.
That was the manuscript that I used for working out what order to put all the essays in. Echo says, if Alan is writing this, then maybe he was just a Sherlock fan. You know what? You've turned me around on this, actually. If the Mind Palace exists because Alan Wake is a kind of... He's a BBC Sherlock-level writer, and the only way he could think for his detective to solve the crime was to go into the Mind Palace and have a BBC Sherlock moment. Instantly, any criticisms I've had of the Mind Palace are gone. This is genius. I need this to be Alan. Alan didn't know how FBI work, so he wrote her in a Mind Palace. That would be perfect.
I should profile Nightingale about this page.
Okay. If Alan Wake is just Stephen Moffat, that's
We found a page in the woods.
that improves
A story
this.
about these events. What is Nightingale's role in this?
I carry his words close to my chest now. Inside, the awful truth. You must dig it out.
Something was put inside him. In his chest. I must find out what.
I don't think anything in that page of book told you that. I don't know how you made the leap from reading that page of book to go, oh yes, my previous point about him being human Tupperware was correct, and there's something inside him and I must go get it. But BBC Sherlock would know, and therefore, you know. Yeah. Yeah, there is nothing in there that would tell you that there's a thing inside of him. Footprints emerging from under the rock.
I think he came from the lake. But his tracks make no sense.
Anything else here? Nightingale has something inside him, I've decided. BBC Sherlock first aired in 2010, the year that Alan Wake went to the lake. Oh god. Yeah.
Found all I can here. Time to properly examine the body.
Nerd teacher, I'm glad you laughed at human Tupperware. So, look, someone in the Twitch chat said it and I now can't get the phrase out of my head.
I think something's been put inside Nightingale's body. Let's tell the deputies to get the body to the town morgue.
Okay.
Whoever wrote that page made sure it read like a story. Like a scene from a thriller.
I hate all of it. The text said we'd find more. I believe it.
But what's the purpose? They're twisting events to create their own narrative. To do what? Entertain some fantasy? Projecting their desires? Are we characters or the audience? Witnesses to their design?
F the Bard in Twitch chat says, I can't believe Moffat got to run so much TV. The problem is, Moffat can write a good standalone story. The problem is, he's not good at big overarching arcs. He's not good when given too much like room to run, because he gets way too big and overcomplicated and like kind of nerfs himself. He works best when you give him just an hour to tell a self-contained story. That he can do. Yeah, Moffat has too many people that... He's got too many connections with too many people, and that means he keeps being allowed to do stuff, but...
All the above?
It's all about control.
Control!
Don't let it drag you in.
Too late. I'm already hooked. I need the next chapter.
I hope you didn't get stuck in any of those big puddles. Crazy flooding down there, huh? Just like I said.
Deputy, I want the body taken back to town for a proper
He did say the
examination
thing he
ASAP.
mentioned, control.
Well, sure. But the coroner won't be back in town for another week after Deerfest.
Not a problem. I'll do it myself.
Oh, and Sheriff Breaker called to say he's got the bookers at the Oh Dear
It's
Diner.
going to be a page of the story in his
Oh,
chest,
and
isn't
a
it?
Key to the gate. It's a shortcut back to the parking lot just up the hill.
Thanks.
Go!
Let's get the car, drive to Bright Falls, and talk to these witnesses, the bookers.
At the diner, right? I could use a cup of coffee.
Let's try that shortcut the deputy mentioned.
Sounds good.
Seems like a nice town so far. Murders aside. Pretty woods. Cute lodge we got set up in.
Yazigra in the Twitch chat says, who's doing Mind Palace bullshit now? I guess that's me. I have Mind Palace, but look. I am aware of the world of the story and the narrative conventions. I can do Mind Palace bullshit because I recognize tropes and themes. I'm not pretending that I have a palace in my head. I'm just like, a piece of paper told you we're going to find something. You're going to look inside and you're going to find a piece of paper, probably.
If we get a chance.
That's a guess rather than... Because, like, this is the problem. If Saga did this, she would go, there is definitely a piece of paper inside of him. I have Mind Palaced that information. Whereas I'm going, I don't know there's a piece of paper in him. I'm guessing there might be. Like, there might... I don't have certainty. She would be like, I've deduced it, it's fact.
Deputies aren't exactly up.
I know,
to
I'm
task,
being
but
silly
hopefully
too.
The sheriff will be more helpful.
Not a surprise about the deputies. Doubt they see much stuff this gruesome.
So, F the Bard in Twitch chat says, do Mind Palaces even exist? Kind of. There is a memory technique referred to as a Mind Palace that people who have particularly good visual memories can sometimes learn to do, and it's not like this necessarily, but it's a device of, like, if you're trying to remember a bunch of things, you... if you're very good at visual imagination, you create a space, usually one you know very well, like, remember your childhood home, and you physically, like, wander around in 3D space in the thing, placing the information in places around your home, and, like, this is a room where I'm placing all these facts I need to remember. And it is a thing that people can apparently do, but it doesn't BBC Sherlock you. You can't go, like, that man is human Tupperware. I know that because he mentioned a clicker in some conversations that I was never there for.
Can't can't fit the clues all together yet. Heart removed, tripod, tracks leading to a dead end.
A tripod for a camera? To record a snuff film?
Maybe. And
Right,
won't take out
Scrangle?
his
It feels
heart just to
unfair
throw
that
it
some
away.
humans can do that, but I can't.
Something for us to find.
Like, that feels like a cheat code that I should have access to. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I cannot visual imagination at all, and some people are here like, I'm going to stroll around my imaginary palace and put all my things on the imaginary walls. Oh no, oh no. There we go. Okay, we got 3. Bella Bean, I know I'm good. Look, Bella Bean, I don't mind suspension of disbelief. I'm willing to believe Alan Wake is writing his way back into reality by puppeting events through his narrative. What I don't... As I've said before, if you told me she's making these deductions because she's psychic, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Tell me it's a mind palace, I'm like, you're reminding me of Moffat, and I don't like the BBC Sherlock. I'm being silly. I'm not as annoyed as I seem. Oh, the cop car isn't our car. I see. That, I guess, makes sense. Nerd Teacher on YouTube says, I'm happy to share my internal visualization. Sometimes I wish I didn't have so much. Yeah, hyperphagia, I think, is too much visual imagination, and it can suck equally in different ways.
I wasn't sure about taking a case so far from home, but I'm thrilled to be here for this mystery.
F the Bard, as someone with aphantasia, I thought it was a turn of phrase. I didn't realize it was literal. I didn't realize, like, picture in your mind was a real thing.
No, I'm all set.
I'll park there anyway. I want to walk to the diner, get a feel for the town.
Yeah, Yazigura, that's the thing. I'm clowning on the trope. I feel like Mind Palace as a trope, like when you have stuff like I'm imagining a conversation about an object I did not know existed, but I know about it because he knew about it and he's talking about it in my Mind Palace. It gets to a point where it's like, yeah, this trope, you're doing things with this trope that are setting you on a path to it, like going completely bonkers very quickly. The second you can intuit clues because a person you're imagining who you never met is talking about a thing you never knew existed, and that's like, you can't pretend that's intuition. She could not intuit that he knew about the clicker that was used at the end of Alan Wake 1. There's no way for her to have intuited that. And to pretend that's intuition is like where I'm like, oh no. Like, that cannot be a part of problem solving. We cannot let a problem be solved because we should go looking for a clicker. He mentioned it in my imaginary mind palace. Like, that's where I'm afraid of, is like the second that one of those things mentions something like the clicker that was Nightingale mentioned in her mind, and she then acts on like the knowledge that a clicker is out there somewhere, that's where it's going to be a problem.
Shouldn't keep the sheriff and our witnesses waiting.
Tara says, but the psychic with a mind palace is a thing in bad Stephen King books, which is very Alan Wake. But again, that's kind of why I'm like hesitating on the clowning. I'm clowning on it until the big reveal that Alan Wake is kind of a hack writer and wrote her to have a mind palace that was very, like, a very BBC Sherlock mind palace, because that's about the level of imagination he's got, and he isn't thinking through like the flaws in his own narrative. As soon as that plot twist happened, all of this like gentle complaining is like, actually this game's fucking amazing. And that's what I'm teasing it now, so that I can, like, when I'm proven wrong and Alan Wake wrote this in and he's a hack, it's him being a hack, I'm like, yeah, no, I need to embarrass myself and be like, no, this was actually a very good story.
Coffee.
Just how much coffee have you had today, Charlie? Don't know, don't care.
Come get percolated.
Not enough. That's how much.
I would go to the copy shop that just demand I come get percolated.
Bittersweet nectar. Get it in Coffee World. Get it where you can. Get it now.
Not to toot my own horn, but I am pretty darn sure my, our float will be the belle of the ball at this year's Deerfest. Just a few more days.
It's a nice looking float for sure. This is my first Deerfest, so I don't know what to expect.
I'm gonna go
It-
check something out.
It is the
Be right
finest
back.
entertainment a town like ours has to offer. The happiest day of the year. Like Christmas, but better.
Well, I certainly hope so. I hate the holidays.
Got any big plans for the day after the festival? It's known as the staying in and eating your body weight in pancakes day around here.
Tynenworth, I know that saying, like, she knows this stuff because she's a character Alan's writing, doesn't meaningfully engage with the text, and you're right, but I'm a sucker for that kind of really stupid explanation. I would eat that up, and I know it's bad, but I'd eat it up.
You need to recover after all that celebrating.
Well, I've got plans now by the sound of it. I'll head straight to the Old Deer when I wake up.
Oh, you won't be the only one.
Oh dear. Cute.
Let me guess. The FBI. Welcome to Bright Falls. It's nice to have you here. I got you both some coffee. Oh, it's Washington's finest.
Nice to meet you, Sheriff. I'm set for coffee.
You know, I wouldn't say no to another.
I'm Agent Saga Anderson. This is Agent Alex Casey.
Tim Brinker. And let me just say, I'm happy you two are here. Frankly, we could use the help.
Oh, I recognize this actor's face, and he doesn't usually have the beard.
Your deputies said you had a couple of witnesses here.
They made them sound like suspects.
Mulligan and Thornton are still on about that? No, the Bookers don't strike me as the murdering type, but you can decide for yourselves. They're just inside having coffee and pie to calm their nerves.
I'll see what they have to say. Casey, you compare notes with the sheriff.
F the Bard, she hasn't been confirmed to be a creation of Alan, but we found a page of Alan's book that writes that, like, and then the FBI agents came and found the body, and then they found the page, and, like, these two FBI agents are clearly already being influenced by the pages of Alan's book before they do things.
We've looked through the case files you sent over, Sheriff. Have you had many people besides the known victims go missing?
Sure. But it's slowed down ever since Cauldron Lake was fenced off.
Let me guess. Missing person cases spiked around 2010. The fence was built just after.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You can go ahead, Anderson. We'll be here.
Look, sometimes I have a day where I feel a bit snarky. I mean nothing by it. I'm having a snarky day today, apparently. Where am I going? Talk to the witnesses in the diner. Hey, anyone see a dead body?
I can't believe that happened. Still feel like I'm gonna be sick.
Come on, Ed. Have some pie. It'll take your mind off things.
It's these two in the back, is it? Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm Agent Saga Anderson. Are you the Bookers?
That's us. I'm Tammy, and he's Ed.
Hello, officer.
Just Saga is fine, Ed.
So, are we being charged with anything? Because if not, we'd love to get back to our hotel and decompress after what we saw. Take a bath, scream into pillows, that kind of thing.
We're not charging you. I just have a few questions. Nothing to stress about, okay?
Alright.
What were you doing at Cauldron Lake last night?
I'm a writer. True crime. We're here from New York, doing some research on a famous novelist, Alan Wake, who went missing here. I was down at the lake, getting some details. Perfectly legal.
And what did you see?
So what did you see in the woods?
This naked dude came out of the lake, and he was acting crazy, shouting weird shit at us. He must have been on something.
Unless skinny dipping at dawn is a thing around here.
Then we heard shooting. We ran into these psychos, and deer masks. They were tearing into the naked guy with knives, like some kind of satanic cult. And then we bolted and called the cops.
Why do you think it was a cult? I don't know. Was it anything to do with them having tied a naked man down to a slab, stabbed him and pulled his heart out? Do you reckon, Miss FBI agent, that maybe that's why they think it was a cult? Oh yeah, they were all wearing matching animal masks. Is that maybe why they thought it was a cult?
You say it was a cult.
The masks and knives aren't enough.
They were shouting, "Cult of the Tree." The cult
I mean,
of
that
the
would
tree."
do it. They were calling themselves a cult while they did it.
And then we found out. The whole thing was terrifying. That's all.
Oh. Oh, okay, so this is... Oh, so we're swapping cases. So, book has described multiple attackers wearing deer masks, chanting and tearing into the guy with knives. So this would be... Killer profile?
We're dealing with an organized group of killers, not a lone serial killer.
Okay, background cases accumulate clues about broader ongoing topics.
I need to know more about the Cult of the Tree if I'm going to shut them down.
Oh, why are you spreading this out so much now? What kind of cult? What kind of cult? No more clues for that one.
The Cult of the Tree is behind these murders. This case just became much more complicated. I'll need to start a new file.
Time hasn't paused. We're just sat next to that couple. We're just stood... We're stood by that couple who want to go home and decompress in their hotel room. And we're just like, no, we're just going to stand here silently and go into my mind palace for a moment. Very important. Oh, am I... Did I not finish it? Oh, do I have to...
The Cult of the Tree. What aren't the Bookers telling me?
Found their necklace. The symbol is 2 triangles.
The cult wants their spruce tree bag, Tammy.
Finders keepers, Ed. My publisher will want this on the cover.
Tammy found something. A necklace belonging to one of the cultists.
How the fuck did you work that out? Yeah, no, this is fully... Look, I know I was a little preemptive in... I could feel it coming. If it turns out they really stole a necklace, specifically a necklace, oh. If they did steal the necklace, ooh, Bella Bean says, complete guess. She's the one writing the story, not Alan. Interesting. If she was, that would explain why the things she comes up with in her mind palace turn out to be true. Is she making them true?
The Bookers were at Cauldron Lake. Why?
This was built to hide what's there. They say the rider fell in the lake.
Private party. No trespassing.
My book has questions. Past the bolt cutters.
They broke in for the sake of Tammy's book.
Okay, well, yeah, that's...
Nothing to do with a murder.
That's obvious.
They were telling the truth.
But, like, you can't say that like it's a fact. Like, that's an obvious conclusion, but, like, you're saying it as if, like, ah, yes, in my brain, I worked out that that is a fact. I'm gonna be so annoyed if they have stolen a necklace and that's just a thing that she just knows. It's gonna be correct, isn't it? Okay, just seeing if there's a... Oh, okay.
So you found something there, right? A necklace these cultists may have dropped.
That has like a tree symbol?
Wow. How did you put that together?
It's evidence. You need to hand it over.
Alan Wake has to be writing this because there's no other acceptable explanation. Yeah, yeah, and it looks kind of like a tree. Yeah, okay. Alan Wake is writing her. If Alan Wake is writing her, this is great. If that's not the reveal, I hate it. I need that reveal to happen way, sooner than later.
Do me a favor. Stick around town for now in case we have any more questions.
Like we'd even dream of missing Deerfest.
Oh God. Saga Anderson. As I live and breathe.
Look, I'm being snarky, but I love this.
After that awful thing happened to your
This game is already like 1000% my jam, and I'm having fun snarking on it, but I'm genuinely invested in this stupid plot.
How are you? I'm sorry. Who are you? I don't know what you're talking about. It's me, silly. Rose. You know me. I don't think I do. And what horrible thing happened to my baby girl? She drowned. Your daughter. That's so weird you don't remember. You know I have a daughter. Oh, I know what this is. You're blocking out your traumatic memories. Happens on TV all the time. No.
Okay, yeah, if Alan's not writing her, she is writing reality in her mind palace. This is the thing, as much as I'm snarking, I'm so genuinely fascinated about what the fuck is going on. I'm very here for this. Please do not take my being a bit snarky for me not having a weirdly good time with this.
My guys have Nightingale at the morgue if you're ready to go take a look.
Let's go. Well, Casey, I got a lead. Looks like we're dealing with a
I'm not allowed to mind palace right now.
A murder cult. Fuck.
I guarantee she's not going to put someone in town knows I have a daughter and thinks she drowned here on the mind palace board. That should be its whole own case is why does this woman think my daughter drowned here? She's not going to make a mind palace board for that, though, is she?
Have you heard of this cult of the tree, Sheriff?
Only the urban legend. If you're in the woods at night, the cult will get you. That sort of thing.
We're not gonna find out you're the Grand Wizard or something, are we?
I played some D&D back in the day. Wizard was always my favorite class.
Morning, Sheriff.
FBI man, sorry, I know I keep pausing. I feel like the phrase Grand Wizard has a lot of connotations. I don't think you just say we're not going to find out you're the Grand Wizard, are we? Am I wrong? Does Grand Wizard not have very specific connotations?
Looks like you have some guests.
To throw around?
Morning, Ted. Yeah, real important guests. Deerfest. Always draws a crowd, right?
Too true. More the merrier. Have a good one, Sheriff.
Oh, I can mind palace. Okay. What kind of cult? Cult symbols. Oh no, that one's closed. We know that, so it's be here. No. Okay, yeah, I'm
What do you
not.
know about that waitress from the diner?
Okay.
Rose? Yeah, she's a bit of a space case. Always has been. Why? What'd she do now?
She kept saying that my daughter drowned. She even knew my name. It was all very weird.
Rose has a talent for saying the weirdest thing possible, but it's best not to take it personally.
Hey, boss. Corpse is downstairs ready to go.
Yep, in the morgue, all prepped.
I'd like to take a closer look as soon as possible. Lead the way, Sheriff.
I've seen the map, so now my Mind Palace map
This is the Bright Falls Sheriff Station.
is allowed to be used. Oh, we wanted to put a map over the map? Cool.
I'll be right with you, sir.
Yep. Just here to pay my ticket. Whenever you're ready to take my money.
I'm supposed to... I was in my Mind Palace. Am I meant to be going... Oh, I'm meant to be over here.
So we share a morgue with the funeral home next door. It's a shoestring budget.
Oh, sorry, I've just noticed we got raided. Hi Raiders. We're playing Alan Wake 2. It came out today. It's a sequel to a game from like 13 years ago. The gist is there's a writer. He's basically Stephen King. He accidentally wrote himself into hell, and now he's trying to write his way out of hell, and maybe some murders are happening because of it. And this woman is BBC Sherlock. There's your catch up.
He's away this week, but you can handle this, right?
I'm qualified to perform examinations. Yes.
That is one thing that's worth me knowing. This is my first week of doing like streaming on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and the combined chat in my OBS does work, but it apparently doesn't tell me when raids happen. I got to keep an eye on the separate chat for raid notifications. Dr. Devon Price said, "Love the original Alan Wake. Cool to check this out." Yeah, it seems like we're pretty early on in it. It seems like Alan Wake is trying to write his way out of hell via writing a story about the woman we're playing as. Who, she is just BBC Sherlock a little bit, just like a little bit.
Morgues, they always cheer me up.
I can't say I feel the same.
He's joking.
Yeah, Bellabean, I don't disagree with you. Alan could just be writing a really rushed story to get out of hell. Like, there's a few explanations I wouldn't hate for some of this.
I'll start with the external inspection before performing the internal examination.
Okay.
What was the cause of death? What other clues can the body give me? There's writing on here.
You tattooed something on the heart?
Writing. How'd they manage that?
The body shows signs of being submerged in water post-mortem. It doesn't add up. This looks like text. A tattoo?
Nightingale didn't strike me as a tattoo guy. Defensive wounds. He put up a fight.
Uh-huh.
Terra, I'd be concerned if this body on a table is your idea of hot. There's a few reasons why I would be concerned if this was hot for you. Okay, let's go to the Mind Palace. For anyone just joining us post-raid, we have a Mind Palace where we're going to make some wild deductions.
Time to see what Nightingale's body can tell us.
Anything to learn from the body? I mean, all of these things are probably things we can learn from the body. We've been referring to this man as Human Tupperware because somehow she magically knows that there's something inside of him that we need to get out. This is what can we learn from the body? And then this will also be ritual writing.
Text is smudged. Looks inverted. Heart can't have been marked before removal.
Unless the writing was written onto his heart from the inside by Alan. Alan wrote it onto him before he'd even died.
Something in his chest. Did the killers leave it there?
Okay. Is there anything to do on the profiling board? I think we're probably up to date on profiling. Okay, I'm betting it's a piece of paper inside of him that's got more of Alan's story on it that somehow didn't get ruined despite the moisture in there. Yep, called it. It's a page of manuscript.
It's the same type of page we found at Cauldron Lake.
Nightingale Haunted Saga.
Okay, calling it now. The cult's whole deal is that they are obsessed with Alan Wake, and they are entirely doing these murders. I don't know whether Alan's writing them into doing it, or they're just doing it of their own volition, because they're like, look, I used to really love Alan Wake's stories, and I want to know more about them, and I heard that if you murder a man and, like, cut his heart out, a new page of an Alan Wake book you haven't read before will appear. Like, this is a thing the rumor they've heard is you can get new pages of Alan Wake books that were never released if you do this special murder sacrifice.
Didn't see her. The Taken could not see into bright light. Light hurt them, made them vulnerable. Nightingale had no heart, but here he was, killing.
Someone's created a fucked up fantasy about us.
Hey, hold on. We found these kinds of pages.
Yeah, you did.
To this case, I have them right here.
Ah, your Alan Wake fanfic collection.
No, wait.
Sheriff?
What the hell?
Alan, do you not want people to read your new book? That's so many pages you've just nothinged. People want to read your book. Oh. Alan, why wouldn't you write her to have successfully defeated the zombie?
Didn't see her. Could not see into bright light.
Thanks, Alan, for giving us the tutorial voiceover.
He's coming. No weapon. The page said to get into the light.
Trying to stay in the light to avoid being detected by enemies. Okay, I'm safe in the light, which means... No, they won't let me. I wanted to go into my mind palace. Let me in the mind palace. Is there a gun somewhere?
Gotta get it back. Gotta move. Now.
Okay, there's my gun.
Vanished.
Oh, we'll be getting, like, ending credits at the end of chapters like the first game. Oh, I really like this silly little narrative device. I like the chapter setup. And hooray, the lyrics are subtitled. So, fun fact. The fact that it's original music is probably why we have subtitles here. Because it's apparently a separate, fairly expensive fee from, like, licensing use of a piece of music and licensing showing the lyrics as text on screen are two different things. And with licensed music, often they won't pay for the show the lyrics in subtitles fee, which has led to some accessibility issues in games like Life is Strange True Colors. And it's weirdly rare to see lyrics subtitled, but if this is original music, that probably gets around that. Yeah, I wrote a whole thing that got written up on The Gamer about Life is Strange True Colors has a sequence where the main character sings a cover of Creep by Radiohead, but there are no subtitles during the entire time like she's singing. Doesn't tell you what she's singing, it's just 0 subtitles while she sits and sings the song, doesn't even tell you the tone, because it would have been money to license the, like, they'd have had to spend money to show that text on screen. And I had a whole, like, yeah, but it's really important for accessibility that you not have a scene like this. Yeah. Follow the deer to follow the owl. Waiting to save my love somehow. Okay. Okay, she's writing the story, not Alan. We're singing about having mind palaces. You're trying to save someone. You're trying to save your dead daughter. She did die. She drowned. You're trying to write her back into existence. Alan's not writing this. You are. I should be paying more attention to these lyrics. Or she wants Alan to write her into the story. Like, you can puppet me around in your story, Alan, but, like, give me my daughter back. I hope you don't mind me sitting through these lyrics. I didn't realize how narratively relevant they were going to be. I suppose I should have worked out if it's like an original song, it's probably relevant. I don't pay attention to lyrics as being relevant, usually because they were written outside the context of a game and placed in later. Okay. I feel like I'm probably safe to hit continue? Or should I just wait it out? Will it, like, automatically go? Oh, you can totally see Saga's face in there. Yeah, no. I reckon she is complicit in this in some way in trying to get her daughter back. Her daughter did die and she's trying to write that out of the story. Or something.
He didn't have a heart, but he still got up. The page predicted all of it. It helped me fight him.
He just disappeared? What the hell is going on here?
We need to figure that out if we're going to do anything about it. Somehow we need to make sense of this.
Oh yeah, she was on the phone to her daughter in the first scene. Unless she wasn't and was pretending to be on the phone to her daughter. She's lying to herself. She's trying to keep up appearances. I don't think her daughter's alive.
There is no rational explanation to what we just saw.
I'd love to blame this on mass hallucination caused by inhaling volcanic gas, but we both know that's bullshit. This was supernatural.
Well, I'm glad you were the one to say it. Now we can figure out a way forward. Right before things got crazy, Sheriff Breaker just vanished.
Maybe the sheriff knew more than he was letting on.
He seemed anxious, like he dreaded what was coming. One more mystery.
Yeah, Tynamwolf says, could be the whole talking to a dead loved one's voicemail to hear their voice trope. Yeah, that feels about right.
The victim of a ritualistic murder turns into a monster. Is there a connection?
Looks to me like the cult of the tree is performing rituals to create monsters.
Maybe. We need to start with learning this cult's goal, their purpose.
Oh.
These pages are important. Breaker dropped one before he disappeared.
Saga was back at Cauldron Lake. Saga had to pursue Nightingale into the overlap. Finding a way in would be difficult. A ritual.
Yeah, Alan says she's
Saga would
back
let
in
out.
Cauldron Lake.
Stop
She
the
clearly was
monster.
here before her daughter drowned. Yeah, your daughter 100% drowned here. Scrangle 3D, feel free to talk about things you remember about Control, under the caveat of, if you already know from Alan Wake 2 that they're relevant, and don't bring them up, but if this is just speculation without, like, having seen anything, like, confirmed or teased to you in Alan Wake 2, go ahead.
A dead man turned
If
into a
that
monster.
makes sense.
Light as a way to fight him. Pages predicting the future. There's no rational explanation. This is the case we must solve.
Saga was back at Cauldron Lake. Is this anything to do with... Nightingale went back to Cauldron Lake, and he's a taken. I got to presume... Okay. What other cases do we have? Oh, we got a little, like, circle to say we've got new clues for this one. They're trying to create monsters. They're doing a cult ritual. Okay, we do writing on the victim. Writing is a part of the ritual.
Makes sense.
Why did he become a monster and not anyone else? Because the ritual was stopped before it was completed?
Nah. Yes.
Okay. Oh, we can listen to the songs that never happened. From the songs from the credits in our Mind Palace. Okay, Scrangle 3D says there's some iconography in the intro for that, showing the Control DLC, showing the map of Bright Falls with a tree vignette, and Artie the janitor's gone on holiday here. Interesting. Okay, okay.
The page places Nightingale back at Cauldron Lake. Calls him a taken. We need to head over there, stop him, before anyone else gets hurt.
Okay.
I'm glad that your co-worker has been so willing to get on board with the supernatural elements, and you're not having to explain him.
Sheriff Breaker disappeared.
Convince him that it's happening?
Some sort of a monster, and there are offices down. You two handle things here. We need to get back to Cauldron Lake immediately.
Fuck me. That's terrible. We'll do what we can, man.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we heard gunshots. Yeah, a couple of your officers are dead, a couple are missing. We gotta go. Bye.
Right, Thornton? Nightingale's heart was missing. How could he do anything? He's dead.
Yeah, right. Well, that's all crazy talk. Monsters aren't real, and what do you mean the sheriff disappeared? Like poof? He's gone like that?
Bellabean, I'm definitely gonna play this all the way through. I don't know whether... Like, I'm up for this being, like, our regular streaming game for a few weeks if people are into that, or I'm Or I might play some of it off stream. I don't know. Well, it depends what people are into. I do really want to, like, I really want to play through this. And I'm going to play through it one way or another.
They're a fine pair.
Hey, how you doing? My client has been held here long enough. Are you gonna let me speak to them or not?
Just a moment, ma'am. Someone will be right with you.
How's the game been so far?
And his cult are dangerous. We need to be prepared.
Here's how it's been, Johnny Worldbeater. This woman is BBC Sherlock, who can know things there's no way you could possibly know. And if the theory is correct that Alan Wake is writing her to be a kind of shitty detective novel, I'm using my Sherlock Holmes mind palace to magically know things. If Alan Wake's writing that in and that's why it's kind of schlocky, game of the year. That's sort of where I'm at.
Things escalate more than they already have. Can you call it in, Casey?
A smart choice.
Yeah. Okay.
Casey here.
Yeah, there's a few people that seem into us doing more of this. Here's the thing. What I will probably do, I don't know if this game will let me, like, make a duplicate save file. Because if it would, if I could, like, copy a save and make a duplicate of it, I might, like, play ahead but keep this save and have, like, a stream save and a personal save. And if not, we just make this the streaming game for a bit. Like, I need to form an opinion on it at some point, and the problem is, so much of my opinion on this game is going to depend on whether Alan Wake is writing her Mind Palace or not.
Yeah. We need backup. The Bright Falls case, whoever you can spare. ASAP. Think we'll actually
We'll see.
find Nightingale delayed?
This might be our stream game for a bit.
We can't assume the person writing these pages isn't playing us.
I agree. But it's our best lead.
We'll see. This is a game I'd like to take my time with, but it's also a game I want to not be spoiled on. Because, like, look, if that is the twist, or there's some twist like that, where, like, Alan's been doing this all along, I want to know that, ideally, before I get spoiled on it. And I feel like this is a game that, like, come Monday, people are going to be talking, like, real spoilery about, probably.
Rinse and repeat. Clock out, get a beer. Or maybe 3.
I need to come clean, Anderson. I know why Nightingale was here.
We'll see.
Years ago. He was chasing a writer, Alan Wake.
Tammy mentioned him. She's writing a book on his disappearance.
You know the detective character from his books, Alex Casey.
Yeah, I've heard the jokes at the office. Cold case Casey. Murder case Casey. Sorry.
Haha. It's the same name, similar job. It's the first thing anyone thinks of. It annoyed me, but that was it. Then, 10 years ago, I started getting strange letters in the mail.
Ooh.
Fragments of prose describing murders. You've heard the stories about what happened in New York. Some of it, at least. Bodies started to pile up. It was a murder cult. Turns out the fragments sent to me were from the crime books of Alan Wake. The cult was copycatting the murders from the books. In their heads, they were performing a ritual to bring Wake back. Their imagined prophet. After that case, I started looking into Wake's disappearance on the side.
And you thought this case might be connected to him? His name does keep popping up.
I just wanted you to have all the facts.
Next time, give them to me before we find ourselves in the middle of a horror story.
That is exactly where you are, in the middle of a horror story.
The page says Nightingale's in something called an overlap. Need to figure out exactly what that means.
I'm happy I'm not in charge of this mess.
Thanks. Let's start looking
Oh,
for
that's a
Nightingale where he
beautiful
was killed.
sunset.
Great. This area is supposed to be close to the public. The writer of these pages knows what will happen. Because they're behind this, or because they can see what's coming. Impossible things are happening here. A world operating on different rules.
Saga, you have a mind palace you can use to learn things you definitely don't know. Don't be surprised if there's someone who could tell the future. That shouldn't be a weird thought to you.
I've been thinking more about the cult of the tree. What sort of cult refers to themselves as a cult?
That's what the person who talked about cults was saying earlier.
We're not seeing the full picture yet.
How are you folks doing? Those restricted area signs don't do a damn thing.
Hello. Saga Anderson. Are you two supposed to be here?
I'm Ilmo Koskela. Fantastic to meet you. And yes, Stephen here hired me to show him through the woods. He's in town on important government business. Fixing this impressive piece of hardware.
I work for the FBC, ma'am. I'm authorized to be here.
And I bet you two are here about that murder. Nasty stuff. How's it going?
How did you hear about the murder, Ilmo? Do you know anything that could help us?
People tend to tell me things. The Koskela brothers are kind of a household name around here. Speaking of, if you're looking for some fun, stop by Watery. Just down the road from Bright Falls, there's our Coffee World amusement park. There's sauna da vista, and we offer a variety of guided tours.
I want to go to the coffee theme park.
Whatever strikes your fancy.
Coffee amusement park.
We probably got it.
What is this thing?
It's just a monitoring station, ma'am. The Federal Bureau of Control checks volcanic activity and air toxicity levels. No need to worry, though. It's mostly for research purposes.
You're investigating supernatural shit, are you?
Looks Nordic. I bet a family member made it.
My mother made this sweater for me. How do you know?
I knew it.
I want a coffee sauna where the air is coffee. Like, it's coffee steam.
My hometown was founded by Finnish immigrants. So between your name and the sweater, I figured your family might be from Finland too. Suomi, Finland. Pulla, Karjalan piirakka.
Close. My mom's family is from Sweden originally. I don't know much about them beyond that. The sweater is just something to remember her by. Stephen, we're investigating a murder that occurred nearby. What can you tell me about your bureau?
Nothing that isn't classified, I'm afraid. But I don't know anything about a murder. The operations here are run by a different department. I'm just here to make some repairs. The wiring on this thing frays every couple months.
Yep, that's the raccoons. They grow real big here with teeth like you wouldn't believe.
It really feels like the FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control.
That's all for now.
Sharing their information would probably be helpful as we're about to go into this very supernatural murder case.
Let's get to the murder site, Casey. A lot of things about this case keep bothering me. But one thing feels really off. Breaker's disappearance. I don't get the feeling Nightingale was responsible.
Well, yeah, he vanished in the middle of... Like... He vanished out of existence. That is a bit odd. Something feels odd about that man who vanished into thin air. And took his books, his pages with him.
Our crime scene's drowning. I never mind the rain. Feels like home.
No sign of Nightingale. But the page did place him at Cauldron Lake, in an overlap. So how do we follow him there?
Maybe something around here will tell us.
Casey, you look for any further clues here, and I'll check the rest of the area. You see anything, radio me.
Got it.
Yeah, you stay back there. I'll walk into whatever mysterious portal's gonna take me to, into Mystery World. Friday. Midge told me today that her family's moving away. This sucks. I haven't even told her that I like her yet. What's the point anymore? She said her parents want to get better jobs and go to a better school in a big city. Sunday, I told her. She said thanks. Fucking kill me. I snuck out last night. Went to the big house in the lake instead of just watching it from here like I always do. Something weird's going on down at the lake. I'm gonna go back with better gear, find a way inside the building, take some pictures. Oh, I'm cooler. Oh, there's ammo in that teenager's cooler.
Kid's lunchbox? An Alex Casey movie lunchbox.
I know things can get a little crazy around here. If you're ever scared, I can remember. Just remember that Alan is watching over us.
But he really hates the movies.
A manuscript fragments. Okay. Manuscript fragments can be used to upgrade weapons in the Mind Palace. I found some bits of paper. I'm going to, in my brain, improve my gun because of it. I don't have enough torn up pieces of paper to improve my pistol yet. The brain is where the gun lives. Exactly. I'm glad you understand. So I gotta back this way, I guess, and Witch's Hut. Here lived the Witch of Cauldron Lake. Her spirit may still haunt this place. Tynan Wolf, thank you for confirming that's how guns work. As a person in England, I don't know how guns work, so I'm glad you've kept me informed.
Hey, Casey. What's the far's favorite shape?
Please, Anderson. Just one case without the
A triangle.
I don't get it.
Yes, you do.
More bullets. Guess this was not the way. I need, like, a navigation assist in this. I need something to, like, point me toward vaguely where progress is. Everything looks similar enough that I'm struggling to mentally map this out. Can I do a weapon upgrade? No. I have one ticket and I need 12. Yeah, do I really have to come to this map if I want to check the map? I gotta go into the Mind Palace to look at the map. I don't know where I'm meant to be going. Okay, so we've just done a big loop. Large amount of something laid out. Okay, apparently these are clues. Yeah, the thing that might put me off streaming this whole game is I'm getting a little bit of motion sickness, and it's probably because playing late at night. I feel like this is a game I might have to play in the daytime just to not get motion sick, and that might limit my streaming ability a little. We'll see. Suspicious activity spotted. The fielder thought he saw movement in the bushes. Hunters, some stuff after dark, gunshots. Okay. I played the first one, but I had to do it in, like, bursts. The body was back here somewhere. Oh, there's footprints I'm meant to be following, I see. This is when I missed the first time. I gotta follow the spooky ghost footprints. Which are materializing as I approach them. I guess this would be that navigation assist I was asking for.
Where Nightingale went.
Yes, I'm doing that. I'm following the footsteps. Oh.
I can feel something.
Ah.
A presence. Nightingale isn't far. I know Nightingale is somewhere around Cauldron Lake.
The tree was a threshold. This place and the dark place. You're in over your head. Next stop, Caldera Street Station.
The threshold. Like a doorway. Leading to Nightingale. It's somehow connected to a tree. Witch's Ladle?
Look at you, working stuff out because of a conversation that happened only in your head. Oh, new quest. Alex Casey lunchboxes. Yeah, Tara says she just imagines stuff and then acts like it's true, just like a real cop.
The Casey movie lunchbox out here can't be a coincidence. Another message?
I mean, it's very clearly the cults do this. Oh. Nightingale went through the tree into some other place. Did he now? Did he? I imagine he went through a tree.
Seems like it's reacting to the light. My flashlight burned the dark stuff away. It was covering another page.
The fuse was in place. Saga stepped into the witch's hut. Inside, a bright light. There were objects that stood out to Saga, as if the light had manifested them.
The witch's hut. Okay. I trust the pages to lead me to the overlap.
Let's go, pages. Witch's Ladle. There is no mystery in Cauldron Lake being named after its cauldron shape. There are many mysterious stories about the lake. Doorway to the underworld, a witch whose cauldron the lake really was. Legends tell that when the affections of a local sheriff went unanswered, he accused the lady in question of having bewitched him. She was drowned, dropped her ladle, grew in a strange tree, came back to avenge her wrongdoers, killed the sheriff, drowned him in the lake, took his heart, locked it in a box. This is witch's hut. Yeah. Okay. New things for the case board.
Is Witch's Ladle the doorway into the overlap? If so, that's where I'll find Nightingale. Light is the key. I need to find the witch's hut.
I do.
This is the witch's hut.
Anderson.
That place I went before.
Probably just a deer, but I'm gonna check it out.
Okay. I found another page. Following up on a lead. Keep checking in.
Roger.
The page described the hut being lit and mentioned a fuse.
Not around the back. Yeah, the visual effects around the jacket getting wet are pretty funky.
I need to find one to turn on the lights.
Find a fuse in the immediate area. Is it inside? Oh no, I think I've gotten myself stuck. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely reaching my limit on how much of this I can stream tonight. Where would I find a fuse?
This fuse is busted.
Ah, sorry, I found the wrong fuse.
This one looks good. People should really stop littering, though.
Ah, yes, the kind of things that you're not allowed to find until the game's ready for you to find them. Right, I'm gonna get the stuff in this cabin sorted, and then this might have to be where I duck out for tonight. Yay, chronic motion sickness. We can have multiple save slots. Okay. Well, I will definitely keep playing this on stream then. I might play some of it off stream just if I have to get through it for work. We'll see how the week ahead takes me, but maybe this will just be a stream game. I'm not certain I'll play it off stream, but the option does exist. We'll make this stream game for a bit, like for the next few weeks, on the understanding that if at any point I have to cut a stream early because of motion sickness and it's not the usual length of stream I would do, apologies about that in advance. Usually I'd be going till midnight most nights. We did a 2-hour stream today, but yeah, I am up for streaming this game playing this the whole way through on stream, with the caveat of, depending on the day, I might occasionally need to cut streams early just because motion sickness is a bit like that. Yeah, we'll keep going with this for a bit. So for the time being, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, except next week, no, it'll be an hour different because UK times will have changed, but American won't. So next week, it'll be 10 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, because America's clocks won't have changed, but British ones will. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope everyone's enjoyed. I will be back with more of this next week. And if you want to catch any of the, you've missed any of these and want to catch the VODs, they should be on Twitch as well as YouTube. If you check the live tab on youtube.com/LauraKBuzz, they should be there as previous broadcasts. Have a good rest of your night, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye.